What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. I used this clip in a video in September of last year, and it was entitled, May God Forgive Us. Forgive us for what we're doing to our kids.
No, you gotta wear it on, honey.
No, you gotta keep it on.
Put your mask on.
CDC Director Rochelle Walensky was on with Bret Baier. She was asked point blank about masks pertaining to children and the physical and emotional impact and whether the CDC has done studies on this.
Why is the CDC not looking at the emotional impacts and the other physical impacts that having a mask on a child as young as 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 years old? Nobody seems to be talking about the emotional or physical impacts that having a mask on a child for that long is having, and the CDC should be looking at this. Why are they not?
Are you not, or are you?
Brett, thank you for that question. Josh, thank you for that question. Here's what I can tell you. First of all, I have 3 kids myself, and I completely understand. We want our kids back in school, and that is so very important. Over the summer, we've had numerous summer school outbreaks that have occurred when masks are not worn. We've had jurisdictions have had to close schools because there are so many clusters happening in the school system. So my primary goal is to get all our kids back in person safely for full-time learning, and to do so and to be able to keep the schools open to prevent those clusters from happening in school. Right now, the best way to do that is to have everybody masked because we do have disease in the community, and hopefully as we have vaccinations for kids and less disease in the community, we'll be able to scale back on the mask wear.
Did you hear her not answer the question? That should be a simple question, right? This isn't about being anti-anything. I've got a simple question for you. This isn't March of 2020 now. We've got time. We've had plenty of time to analyze this thing, good, bad, and otherwise. You want me to trust you. I have a simple question. Answer the question. Don't thank me for the question. Answer the question. That's how you'll thank me. That's stalling. Don't tell me you have 3 kids. I asked you a question about studies on masks for those 3 kids and my kids and all the kids in our country. I didn't ask you how many kids you have. She said she wants her kids back in school. He didn't ask about your kids going back to school. He didn't ask about his kids going back to school. He asked a simple question. It's not a hard question. Why is that? At this point, the question now is, why can't you answer the question? And people look at those asking these questions as if they're some anti-American or some selfish citizen. It's just a damn question. I am not pledging allegiance to you and putting faith into you, Democratic establishment, like you're some god. You're not beyond reproach. Rochelle Walensky said schools had to close because of outbreaks. He didn't ask about that. He asked if you had studies on the impact of masks on children, physical and emotional. What does that have to do with schools closing? Schools might have to be closed. He didn't argue that or even bring that up. He asked if you had a study on masks specifically on children. No answer. And I'm the crazy one. That's the director of the CDC. Didn't say, I don't have the number off the top of my head, I'll get back to you. Nothing. She ran into what she did. She got a question, and then her robot brain, this is what we call NPC brain, went directly over to, let me go to the talking points about children in school. That wasn't the question. She wasn't prepared with a talking point for masks. That's what happened. So that's how it started. How is it going? The CDC just quietly lowered the standards for speech in early childhood development. Now children should know about 50 words at 30 months rather than 24. So it looks like they might have had some studies. Or what led them to make this change? We are about 6 months from when that concerned citizen asked her directly and she didn't answer the question. 6 months later, we have a change in the standards with no explanation. Instead of highlighting the harmful effects of muzzling and lockdowns that they've had on children, the CDC just lowered the bar for milestones. They did it on a Friday before a potential long holiday, depending on where you work at, government holiday, President's Day. They announced it on the 17th. They tried to sneak this news on a Friday going into a long weekend. Anyone with an ounce of intelligence saw this muzzling was not good. Making kids go virtual wasn't good. Some schools are lowering standards for kindergarten admission right now due to the same whatever this issue is that they have not acknowledged. No context, no explanation. This is straight from the cdc.gov. It says about 50 words at 30 months. Used to be 24. Also in 2021, the American Academy of Pediatrics tweeted, babies and young children study faces. So you may worry that having masked caregivers would harm children's language development. There are no studies to support this concern. Young children will use other clues like gestures and tone of voice. That's how it started. This was tweeted in August of 2021. Where are we now in 2022? The American Academy of Pediatrics said that 67.7% of the changes to early childhood milestones were moved to older ages in the recent study commissioned by the CDC. I looked it up directly from the AAP.org website. This is a clip shot from the website where it says that. If you want the receipts, a lot of people were making comments. Too many to even read. That would have to be a whole nother video. Hundreds of comments. Aaron Heyer said, as a pediatric speech pathologist for 35 years, of course there are no studies. We have never muzzled our babies, toddlers before in history, nor have we degraded on purpose the speech they hear. Oh my God, think people. Daniel Horowitz said, my sister, who is a speech therapist in Maryland, just texted me. The speech issues I see with 3 and 4-year-olds that have been masked, I have never seen before in 22 years. So much low muscle tone, drooling, unusual articulation errors on early developing sounds. I am the asshat who muzzled my kids. I have one that's almost 3 now. I'm the asshat that muzzled them. Nobody else. Nobody. I am not blaming anybody for that. If you muzzle your kids, you're a dumbass for it, not a politician. But 2 things can be true. I can be a failed parent in that regard specifically. I'll overcome it. Those who have muzzled, we have to overcome it and help them along, give them extra practice, extra speech lessons, reading, all that stuff. So I'm not blaming anyone, but 2 things can be true. I can be an asshat and a failed parent in that regard, and these politicians can be failed politicians that need to be voted the hell out of office as well. Let me know what you think.